I will call the Chino City Council and the successor agency to the redevelopment agency to order. The date is July 30th. Please note that all council members are present. I'd like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Comstock to lead us in the flag salute, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we salute our nation's flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. City Manager Wright, do we have any agenda additions or revisions?
No changes, Mayor.
Okay. First item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar, items 1 through 3. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled? If not, I would entertain a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion from Councilman Lucio. Second from Councilman, which one? Burtman? Okay, Burton? Good grief. Oops. Okay, roll call, please. Or I guess we can do it by unanimous, correct? All right, everyone in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Okay, that item passes unanimously. Next, under new business, item number 4, the Chino Ranch Business Park Project, referred to as RETA, Merrill Avenue widening, interconnect, and Euclid median improvements. This item is to approve the Ontario Ranch Business Park Project Right of Entry Agreement, the MOU and construction reimbursement agreement for the Merrill Avenue widening, interconnect, and Euclid median improvements. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Assistant City Engineer, Jesus Placencia, and our Director of Public Works, Hygen Lee.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. If we can get the slides, please. On October 27, 2020, the City of Ontario's Planning Commission approved tentative parcel map number 20016, submitted by Euclid Land Venture LLC, for an industrial and business park development located at the northeast corner of Merrill and Euclid Avenues, encompassing 1,676,000 square feet of warehouse and office space. As a condition of approval, the City of Ontario required the developer to construct public improvements along Merrill Avenue. This included construction of ultimate street improvements on the south side of Merrill within City of Chino jurisdiction. The scope of the improvements primarily consisted of completing the ultimate roadway pavement, signing and striping, and curb and gutter, which are all part of the city's Development Impact Fee Program and are estimated to cost $7,015,250. To ensure timely completion, the City Council approved a public improvement agreement and associated securities with the developer on October 8, 2022. Recently, the city staff and developer agreed to expand the scope of work along the south side of Merrill to include improvements that were not conditioned by the City of Ontario, namely sidewalks, landscaping, and streetlights. The estimated cost to complete these additional improvements is $3,362,838. The developer is currently working towards finalizing improvement plans to reflect this expanded scope of work, and this is being done concurrent with the construction of the roadway improvements on Merrill to adhere to the project schedule and to avoid project delays. As you may recall, the city received a $5 million deposit from Scannell, a developer of the FedEx property located at the southwest corner of Merrill and Flight Avenues. This deposit was paid as a condition of approval of their project and is intended to fund the future public improvements around Chino Airport. A small portion of these funds has already been utilized to conduct a survey that delineates the ultimate right-of-way that still needs to be dedicated around the airport. This survey has been completed and is now pending review and approval by the county and the Federal Aviation Administration. The bulk of the deposit is proposed to be allocated to cover costs for the expanded Merrill improvements, namely, as I mentioned earlier, the sidewalk, the parkway landscaping, and the streetlights. Additionally, City of Ontario conditioned the developer to construct public improvements along the Euclid Avenue frontage, including a new landscape median from Eucalyptus to Merrill. The new median would be fully constructed to its ultimate width, meaning half of it would be located within City of Chino jurisdiction. The estimated cost to construct the portion of the median in Chino's jurisdiction is $5,331,013. The city has been collecting in lieu fees over the years from development projects along the Euclid corridor north of Merrill for the purposes of constructing this future median. However, the collected funds thus far are insufficient to cover Chino's share of the median costs. To address this shortfall, city staff plans to propose a new project in the next Development Impact Fee Nexus Study update for the general city. City staff provided the Infrastructure Committee with an informational presentation on the Merrill and Euclid improvements back on June 10th of this year. During the presentation, staff outlined the next steps in negotiating a reimbursement agreement with the developer and acquiring the ultimate right-of-way on Merrill from the county. This reimbursement agreement will specify terms for reimbursing eligible costs and utilize the Street Circulation Development Impact Fee Program to offset any remaining expenses for Merrill Street improvements and Euclid median improvements that are not covered through developer deposits. The total estimated cost for the Merrill and Euclid improvements is $15,709,100. As previously mentioned, the city is awaiting county and FAA review of the proposed airport perimeter right-of-way acquisition. Prior to the right-of-way being acquired, the city will need to enter into a right-of-entry agreement with the county, since a portion of the proposed Merrill improvements lie within the county's property outside of the existing right-of-way. In addition, staff intends to enter into a corresponding memorandum of understanding with the developer to transfer the rights and obligations under the right-of-entry agreement to them, since they will be responsible for constructing the improvements. Finally, Merrill from Euclid to Stearman Drive is currently closed to accommodate the completion of street improvements at the Euclid and Merrill intersection. The city and developer are committed to having a partnership to complete these improvements as soon as possible to minimize impacts to the community and local businesses, including those located in Chino Airport. The current closure is scheduled to end on or before November 30th. Extended construction hours and weekend work are anticipated to accommodate the accelerated construction schedule. In conclusion, staff is recommending the council approve a reimbursement agreement with the developer for not to exceed amount of $15,709,100 for the construction of improvements along Merrill and Euclid Avenues, a right of entry agreement with the County of San Bernardino to obtain access to construct Merrill improvements located outside the city's existing right-of-way, and a memorandum of understanding to transfer the rights and obligations under the right of entry agreement to the developer. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions, and developer representatives are here as well to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Council comments on this item? Mark?
Now, as far as I know the length of the airport, or not the length of the airport, but I know where the improvements are gonna take place on Merrill. But on Euclid, how far are they gonna go? Are they gonna go the full length from Merrill all the way to Kimball? As far as the sidewalk and improvements, or is it up until what point is that the length of Euclid gonna be improved?
So it's only along the development's frontage, so it's on Euclid from Merrill up to Eucalyptus. So in that location, there's going to be a new median as well as a 13-foot wide multi-purpose trail.
But all of that is in Ontario, isn't it?
Except for half of the median will be in the city of Chino.
So the median located on Euclid itself, just the median?
Just the median.
Not the sidewalk portions?
Correct.
And have we talked to the county about potentially ever doing like a sidewalk or a walking area on the front part of Euclid Avenue?
We have had recent discussions with them about potential development. They've actually identified some properties along the airport perimeter that would potentially develop in the future. And as part of that discussion, we did mention that should those developments move forward, they would be required by the city to install sidewalk improvements, and that did include some properties along along Euclid.
I just want to make sure that I understand the cost. The median that we're paying for is from Eucalyptus to Merrill, and it's our half of the median on
Correct.
the Chino side
Correct.
of Euclid, and Ontario's paying for the other half of the median.
Yes.
So our portion of the cost of the median, just from Eucalyptus to Merrill, is 15 million,
No, it's 5 million.
5 million. And does that include lighting and water lines and everything that's going to be required to keep that median safe and keep it up?
It will include landscaping and the associated irrigation system.
Okay, and that will connect to our own water system.
Correct. So that, I think, is something that we need to still work out with City of Ontario. So it's one thing that's going to be brought before you at a future point in time is the maintenance of that median. So we've been having discussions with the City of Ontario about entering into a maintenance agreement
Okay,
so that we basically outline the responsibilities of maintaining that median on a go-forward basis, where potentially one jurisdiction is responsible for maintaining the median, taking the lead with that, and then the other agency is providing a proportionate cost share for
Okay.
that median cost.
and lighting, is there lighting along that median as well?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I know there's streetlight improvements on the east side along the property frontage, but I don't recall if there's any streetlights within the median itself.
Because I would think you would need them. I mean, that's a wide street. Just curious, can you get back to us and just let us
Of
know?
course.
Okay.
How wide is the median in there?
It's going to be 65 feet.
It's like
Would-
North Euclid.
Right, so if you look at the size of the median in Ontario, it's pretty much the same width.
Okay, so it's all consistent.
Right. The landscaping will look different, so you won't have a turf. You'll have more drought tolerant type of landscaping.
Will there be a walking trail in the middle? I hope.
We've had discussions about whether or not it made sense to have a walking trail in the median. We are having a 13-foot wide multipurpose trail on the east side of Euclid, and that's consistent with what we have in our general plan. So ultimately, Ontario's multipurpose trail would connect to Chino's multipurpose trail along the airport frontage. So that would be intended for accommodating bikes and for pedestrians to move up and down Euclid.
Okay, so anybody like that lives in the East Side Specific Plan or in College Park is going to have to cross Euclid and go on the east side to go north or south on Euclid.
Correct. Until such time as there's sidewalk improvements extended south of the College Park area.
On the west side of Euclid?
Correct.
So there'll be sidewalk bicycle trails on both sides of Euclid.
With this project, there would only be a multipurpose trail on the east side of Euclid from Eucalyptus to Merrill,
But eventually,
eventually.
okay.
There would be, I have to look back at what our general plan says. I'm not sure if I want to say it's just a 5-foot sidewalk on our side, because I seem to recall that's what's currently been built along the College Park frontage, south of Eucalyptus.
Okay, Dennis might
Oh.
have some additional info.
I can help out with that a little bit, because it especially was relevant for our last conversation with the general plan update.
Right.
So part of that reclassification of those roadways includes repurposing part of Euclid on our side to include a dedicated bicycle facility. We do have that already kind of there, but we want to really make it more pronounced and more attractive and make it match more of what Ontario is planning to do as well. So the future plan, especially with the general plan update, is to put a dedicated off-street bike facility on Euclid. Now, we run into some of the issues where we have already developed areas where we no longer have that opportunity. So in those cases, what we could look at is potentially reducing our half of the median and slowly creeping the roadway slightly over to provide additional right-of-way on the west side of the street where a future a dedicated bicycle facility could be built. So that would be places like north of Eucalyptus, north of Edison, other places. The shopping center on Central, for instance, doesn't have accommodations for a bike trail in the parkway. So in cases like that, we can look at other options for including a bike facility all the way up to Riverside Drive.
Okay, I just think that we need to think about that ahead of time and not as an afterthought.
Especially since, if you look at where the Majestic project is, they have like a horse trail, kind of white fencing.
Right.
And then when you end at College Park, they have the same thing. So I'm assuming we would do something similar eventually all the way down.
It'd be very ideal to continue that same configuration all the way down Euclid, from Eucalyptus, and that was kind of what was mentioned in the general plan update, that CIM property, that sort of look and feel where you have the parkway, sidewalk, parkway, landscaping trail all the way around the whole CIM property.
That bicycles can use as well as pedestrians.
Correct.
Okay, because you see bicyclists now on Euclid Avenue, and personally, I would not want to ride a bicycle on Euclid, not with all the big trucks. So to have an off-road type trail, not on Euclid itself, I think would be a lot safer.
Which was also one of the reasons why we were trying to move away from something in the center of Euclid. Only because in this part of Euclid, south of the freeway, with all of that industrial work out there, we were really concerned about putting pedestrians in the middle of that roadway.
Okay.
So having them on the outsides and having them cross at signalized intersections, to us, made more sense.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any question, Karen?
I know Upland programs their trail on Euclid as a shared path for walking and jogging in the center of it, but I don't think Ontario does, do they? I think Ontario is just mostly open space and green space, is that correct?
Yeah, I think they do host events there. I think they shut
Yes.
down Euclid for community events. I think up in Upland, it's a little less maintained, more of a worn dirt path.
Yeah.
But then up there, you don't have the volume of traffic or the development on either side of Euclid that we're gonna have here.
So I think the idea between the entities between us and Ontario is if somebody wanted to take that path to Upland up into San Antonio Heights, there's connectivity somehow if they wanted to do that and then back down, right? Is that the
Yeah, we
idea
would have
behind
that connectivity on the sides of
Yes.
Euclid, not in the center.
it? Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Karen?
I would want the landscaping, though, in the middle to be consistent, from Eucalyptus down to Merrill to, north to Riverside Drive and all the way south to Highway 71, however we're going to do it. I want to make sure that's consistent. Now, you'd mentioned that it's going to be drought tolerant landscaping that does not mimic what Ontario's got going north of Riverside Drive, because it's, that's pretty much, I think, grass and pepper trees that they've got in there.
Rose bushes.
And rose bushes, but from Ontario, from Riverside Drive, all the way north up into San Antonio Heights, it's all pretty much pepper trees with a mix of other things. I would like to see that continue somehow, that theme down south, whether we do drought tolerant or grass, as far as the trees are concerned, that it's all consistent all the way down.
Right, and we are definitely coordinating with the City of Ontario as far as landscape improvements to make sure that there's consistency between both jurisdictions. I just want to clarify, this is just one of the median improvements that will be constructed. So when there's more development in Ontario going north of Eucalyptus, you'll see the remainder of the median improvements constructed, and I would assume they would maintain a consistency throughout as far as
Great.
landscape
That's what
palette
I'd
is
like to
concerned.
see. Thank you.
Already taking possession of their part of Euclid?
Yes.
Okay, so they've already done theirs and we're just a few months behind them.
Right, I believe we were about 6 to
2025, July of 2025 is earliest we could take possession.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when Caltrans have budgeted the transfer of that Euclid in 2025 and 2026 budget.
So how are we able to enter into an agreement with Ontario if the Euclid doesn't even belong to us yet? Do we have to wait till 2025?
Well, this is, Curtis, this is Euclid north of Merrill, which is in Ontario's.
Right, but on our side, it's still Highway
But
three.
we're getting off subject because we're just talking about this project and they were just talking about that as anticipated.
Right, so there would be a future maintenance agreement between the two cities. In addition to that, we do have to enter into a maintenance agreement with Caltrans, and we've done that before for other landscaping improvements further south. So for example, in front of the Majestic buildings, we have a maintenance agreement where Caltrans isn't responsible for the maintenance, and we turn around and we require that the adjacent property owner maintain the landscaping on our behalf.
And this actually feeds into what I would probably want to present tomorrow, is a landscape, a master plan for our medians, because we have landscaping in our medians are, I call it a hodgepodge. They're all over the place. So we would love to present to you some ideas on how we could come up with some kind of a landscape master plan for our arterial street medians, and also what we want to do with our trees on parkways. So this is a little preview of what I would like to present to you tomorrow.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Karen?
I want to compliment staff for looking at this holistically instead of just going curb to gutter. It's a project that you've brought forth to us. I think that you've taken a different approach to looking at completing it. We've been asking for that for a long time, so way to deliver on this project in that manner. You know, and you'll see it yourself now. We're going to have something nice there for our residents if they did want to come out of the preserve and bicycle up to an area or up into that median. You know, regretfully, they're not going to have it for a period of time east of the airport and now on the south side of the airport because of how we constructed those in the past. Hopefully, we'll work with the county to get it along Euclid Avenue, right, is the plan. But if they did want to, they can come through Flight through a portion and now up Merrill if they wanted to do something like that, you know, either in, you know, some fashion with biking or different things into, you know, different parts of our community. So, and as we know, if we construct it, people will use it. So way to go, staff, for looking at in that perspective.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council? Okay, then we would need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion there.
I'll
There's a
second.
motion from Mayor Pro Tem Comstock. Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
And a second from Councilman Lucio. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Okay, the item passes unanimously. Item number 5, amendment to the construction reimbursement agreement with LS College Park LLC for the design, construction of public improvements on Edison Avenue between Central Avenue and Oaks in the amount of $2.5 million for a total contract amount not to exceed $16.2 million. This is to approve an amendment to the construction reimbursement agreement on the area stated. Staff report once again will be provided by Jesus Placencia and Hygen Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Chino, SunCal City of Chino Redevelopment Agency, and the State of California entered into a development agreement on September 7, 2004 for the College Park specific plan area. However, following SunCal's bankruptcy, the rights and obligations of this agreement transferred to Lennar Homes with the sale of the property. The development agreement outlines the requirements for constructing various public improvements, including the widening of Edison Avenue in front of Ayala Park, as well as other associated improvements, including master plan storm drain, a recycled water main, and traffic signal modifications along Edison Avenue. The city and Lennar executed a reimbursement agreement for the Edison Avenue improvements for a not to exceed amount of $8.431 million. Initial progress included completion of the recycled water main and a portion of the storm drain. However, significant and extended construction delays occurred due to an unexpected conflict with Southern California Edison's dry utility conduit along Edison Avenue. In 2021, the developer bid out the remaining improvements for the project, and it was discovered that certain construction costs, including perimeter landscaping, sidewalk installation, and tree relocations, weren't included in the original cost estimate. This led to the city council approving an amendment to the agreement in the amount of $3,976,140. Then in October of last year, the council approved a second amendment to the agreement in the amount of $1,292,860. This second amendment covered the costs for additional storm drain improvements and additional field change orders that were necessary to complete the project. Significant progress has been made in the past 8 months. However, new challenges and additional unexpected costs have emerged. This includes the relocation of the previously mentioned SCE dry utility conduit, as well as extensive grading and landscape improvements at Ayala Park between 12th Street and the YMCA driveway entrance. There's also several upcoming significant field change orders that must be considered, such as the cost of fully rehabilitating the entire Edison roadway pavement from Central to Oaks, plus the removal and replacement of pavement at the Central and Edison intersection to address crosswalks that are not ADA compliant. And lastly, the future field change orders would include the relocation and reconstruction of the existing monument sign at the southeast corner of Central and Edison. The estimated cost to complete these unanticipated improvements is $2.5 million. Therefore, staff recommends the council approve a third amendment to the reimbursement agreement in the amount of $2.5 million, thus bringing the total project budget to $16.2 million, which is inclusive of the prior two amendments. The cost for these additional improvements would be covered by Measure I CP&A funds and the city-wide Streets Development Impact Fee Program. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. I failed to ask for public comment on the last item. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I would need a motion and a second to approve item number 5.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there is a comment from Mayor Pro Tem Comstock.
This has been a long project, get across the finish line, Jose, but thank you.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, Jesus. Wow. I just, for comment, would like to add, I know that's not part of this staff report tonight, but just attention to the landscaping under the Edison easement as part of the completion of this, so that this doesn't get overlooked into the future. And for all I know, staff is presently working on that. I know you're working on it, but, and sorry for that mishap with your name. So, thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Okay, then would need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from
Second.
Councilman Lucio, second from Mayor Pro Tem Comstock. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Item passes unanimously. Okay, any comments from the public on anything not on the agenda? Last minute comments from council members? None. Okay, then we are adjourned to our next regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, September 3rd at 6 o'clock with closed session starting no earlier than 4 if needed. We are adjourned.